I was inspired by the poem that is written by Mr. Ikeda, titled A Path at Windsor. I wish to be a person who forges a path, a person who persists in walking a path, no matter what, until the end. Hi everyone, I'm Jun Kong. I'm from Taipei. Currently, I'm staying at Selangor. Back in university time, I was so passionate about entrepreneurship. Few years later, after graduating university, I founded a company who specifically organized Asia E-commerce Conference. Back then, I was lagging in terms of funding, in terms of experience to operate the business. Hence, it caused a huge loss to the company to the extent that crisis. I'm tangled whether to continue the business or to shut down the business. I was inspired by the poem that is written by Mr. Ikeda, titled A Path at Windsor. One of the poems says, I wish to be a person who forges a path, a person who persists in walking a path, no matter what, until the end. I will keep walking, keep running. It was as if Mr. Ikeda was encouraging me, don't give up. Be a person who continued the path no matter what. I was so inspired by Mr. Ikeda's poems. At that point of time, I felt empowerment and something dawned on me. I have a power. I have a courage to transform the whole situation. I was so energized. I was so inspired. I worked harder and eventually the business turned to profit. Through Daimoku, I deeply felt that the power of Daimoku that enabled me to change the poison to medicine and accumulated inconceivable fortune and show the actual proof of Nichiren Buddhism. In 2013, it was KL Run for Peace. I'm honored to be an MC for the Run for Peace in 2013. In fact, at the point of time, I was so busy organizing Asia E-commerce Conference, which is a week after Run for Peace. Despite the busy schedule, I'm determined to deliver, utilizing the power voice to deliver the peace message and inspire the participants. A week after Run for Peace, it was Asia E-commerce Conference. I fully applied what I've learned from Soka Gakkai, that focusing on humanism, which is respecting and valuing everyone. I provided the best services to all the participants and sponsors to create a unique experience for them. Both events were absolutely successful. One of my friends was inspired by my inner transformation and my positive mindset despite facing a huge challenges in the business. And one of my former part-timers who knew that I am actively joining SGM, he encouraged me back, Felix, please don't leave SGM. SGM is an organization that fosters capable leaders who contribute to the society and human. World needs Soka Gakkai. And in fact, in 2018, he joined Soka Gakkai Malaysia as a member. When my business was at its peak, something happened in 2020. Epidemic happened and shattered the entire business. I was unable to organize any e-commerce, any events physically. What I gotta do? I was trying selling durian to sustain my life. But is it a long-term career? I'm thinking in depth. I called up my friends who used to work at an e-commerce company, and we founded Japanese e-commerce company. When we founded the company, none of the co-founder has F&B background except the chef team. Then at that point in time, we were facing menu development issues, order process, food quality. And to the extent one of the customer make a huge complaint to us in terms of our food quality issues. Besides the kitchen operation, we are facing a team moral issue as well. Lack of spirit to strive for the business, on time, food quality control, and etc. I kind of like losing control in terms of my temper. I was grumpy, I was irritable. Whenever my team make a mistake, I pointed to them. You are wrong, right? I never reflect myself at the point in time. And to the extent, one of the incidents that happened in my business was, I remember in the morning, I reminded the chef, remember to cook Japanese rice, right? In order to fulfill the orders. What happened is like he forgot and the order keep coming. And I was so angry, I banged the table, I scolded the chef. So you buat apa? Right? The working environment was disaster, to be honest. It's not harmonious. It's not a good environment to work as well. We keep changing the chef. Within 6 months, we have changed 6 chefs. Last year in May, something happened. 2 chefs tendered their resignations. I was forced to learn how to cook to fulfill the order. Through this nasty problem, I started to see through my weaknesses. I know that it couldn't go on like this. I started chanting in front of Gonzon and started reflecting myself. In fact, Soka Gakkai and Mr. Ikeda have been constantly emphasizing on human revolution, which is we have to change ourselves first. It's easier said than done, but it's extremely difficult step to change. Through self-reflection, I started to change the way I speak, the way I handle the business, with exactly the same problem like we were facing last time. Right now, we were solving the problem through dialogue to understand what exactly they're facing, and we solve together as a team. Because of my change, the whole environment started to change, and it becomes more harmonious compared to last time. I'm no longer being bossy to my team. I was thinking without practicing Nichiren Buddhism, I was unable to reflect myself. And in fact, I will give up halfway. I set a clear prayer objective, which is to recruit a team member who has the same mission as our company. One of the candidates came to our office to attend an interview. Instead of calling it as a typical interview, it was heart-to-heart dialogue. He was working in Switzerland more than 10 over years at a 5-star Japanese cuisine as well as Michelin star restaurant. Obviously, as a startup company, we are unable to pay for his high salary. Hence, I share the business philosophy and business potential in Malaysia. I invited him to join us as a co-founder. Surprisingly, he agreed and joined us as a co-founder. The people around me have seen my change. Because of my change, entire working environment become more harmonious. Right now, we are using open discussion to dialogue with all the team members about our future planning, about the operations matters. Through sincere dialogue, we share a common goal. As Mr. Ikeda's guidance says, a great human revolution in just a single individual will help achieve a change, the destiny of a nation, and further will enable a change in the destiny of all humankind. Practicing Nichiren Buddhism made me feel that inner change is the strongest. When we have a strong determination to change, we'll improve our life state by changing ourselves. This will also lead us to change the environment we are in. Turn poison into medicine and also turn defeat into victory.